Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, words my brethren all across Africa. And speaking of Africa, Julius Indongo. I haven't heard much from him since he got stopped by Terrence Crawford a couple months ago. But some news came out last couple weeks ago. Bit of an older article, but I still wanted to talk about it because I didn't see many videos on about it in the YouTube boxing community. So I figured I'd touch on it. Um, Julius Indongo recently decided to call out newly crowned WBO 140-pound champion Sergey Lipinets, and I was there for the Lipinets fight. Lipinets scored a very very tough unanimous decision victory over Akiri Kondo. I actually thought Akiri Kondo beat him. I thought Akiri Kondo, while he didn't land as many shots as Lipinets, was definitely the cleaner, more effective puncher on the night. And a lot of people in the arena that night felt that Kondo won that fight, but I knew that Lipinets was going to get the decision, being the politically more connected fighter. So, with that being said, Indongo, let's fast forward. Let's backtrack a bit. Julius Indongo last year, he held the WBO 140-pound title. Lipinets was paid step-aside money on multiple occasions for Indongo to fight Ricky Burns, and then in the big fight that he ultimately wound up losing against Terrence Crawford. Crawford won the belts, became undisputed, and like I told you in videos in the past, Terrence, with being undisputed champion these days, there's so many sanctioning fees are so high that it really eats into a fighter's purse. So they're making less money by having more belts. And Terrence obviously got the belts, became undisputed, vacated, and went up. So all the belts are free. Lipinets then captures the title that Indongo once had, and now Indongo is calling out Lipinets for the fight. So I'll read you the quote. Here's what he said in regards to Lipinets. He said, I quote, I am actually glad that Lipinets never got to fight me at the time because I would have destroyed him, and so would Terrence. Now that Lipinets is a champion, I want to show him firstly that I would have done to him what I would have showed him what I would have done to him if I fought him a few months ago, and secondly, what Crawford would have done to him, which he can't do now because he moved up to welterweight. It's time for Lipinets to put all that trash talk into action by facing me in the ring. I'm ready to fight you anywhere, anytime. And let's see, I believe that is it. No. Then goes. There's one more thing he says. He said, "You have a belt now. You have an option to pick a voluntary. Indongo is right in front of you, so don't duck and fight a real champion, Sergey." And you know what? A lot of times when fighters call out other fighters, like it's whatever. But I think when Indongo calls out a fighter and Indongo says he wants to fight, those words, for me at least, hold a lot more weight because when we talk about Indongo, we're talking about a guy that the only reason we even know who he is because he was beating dudes going on the road. Albeit, you got to put it in its proper context. He beat Troy Noski, who was never better than a C-class fighter, and he beat Ricky Burns, who's always been a C-class fighter. So I think people will. I think people. I wanted Indongo. It would have been cool if Indongo would have beat Crawford, but to some people that I've seen talk about boxing, like particularly, no disrespect, but particularly in the LDBC, they were so quick to hype this guy up. And he did deserve some praise. He deserved praise for going on the road, but I think they were overhyping the opponents he beat way too much, like Burns and Troy Noski, who under normal circumstances they would have said were trash fighters. But still, it's something that he did in his career as a guy who, prior to that, was regarded as just an African club fighter that nobody heard of, wasn't known worldwide, came in the game, stopped Troy Noski devastatingly in Russia. Then goes to Scotland and just boxes the daylights out of Ricky Burns. That gets in the big fight Crawford. So he gets respect for that. And he gets his words, with me at least, they hold weight when he calls people out. And Lipinets, if you guys remember, Lipinets was shooting his mouth off when he was Crawford's mandatory. He was really shooting his mouth off. He really wanted that fight. It didn't happen for him, but he benefited from it. He got two paydays for doing nothing, just to step aside and let Crawford fight other people. So he got two step-aside paydays. Plus, he wound up ultimately getting the belt anyway in a fight that I think he lost. But still, it's a fight. It still worked out for Sergey. So what I'm saying is, that this would be a good fight. I think this would be fantastic. Because for me, I think Akiri Kondo beat Lipinets, and I really like while he is a slick boxer and he has a reputation for being a slick boxer, because that's the strength of his skill set. His slickness, his footwork, his ability to beat guys to spots and out jab them. That's his skill. That's what he makes him a good fighter. But he really hasn't beaten anybody. He fought the guy for the world title. I thought he lost. At worst, it was a draw because Lipinets, while he was landing like early in the fight, he was outboxing Kondo, but he was, as the fight went on, Kondo just began to walk this guy down, walk through his punches, and he was hitting him with some really hard shots and backing him up. So overall, to me, until he beats, from this point forward, like until he beats a legitimate opponent, like, and Indongo is someone that I would deem as a legitimate opponent, a guy who's a stand like a solid top 10 guy in the weight class. Until he does that, like, he's a paper champion. No disrespect to him, but he is paper champion because you were gifted a belt. No disrespect, but you were gifted a belt in a fight you did not deserve to win. And the jury's still out, and you were shooting your mouth off about all the stuff. You struggle with the Kondo from what I've read and researched. The fight before Kondo to become challenger for the belt, he struggled in that fight too. So like the jury's still out on Lipinets. Like I know a lot of people make a big deal about Russian fighters sometimes, and there are some tremendously talented Russian fighters, but there is some truth in the fact that sometimes these guys do get overhyped. There's only a handful of guys who are not even just Russian fighters, but fighters in boxing who are as talented as Lomachenko or who I know is from Ukraine, but I'm saying Lomachenko or Kovalev or Vazdik or Usyk. Those guys are those guys are the creme de la creme, and it's hard to live up to that standard. So I'm not buying into the whole rhetoric you've heard from guys like Louis DeCubas, who's been hyping him up. I think he's a solid fighter, but I don't see anything outstanding from the guy. And I think in Indongo fight, I would much rather watch him fight a guy like Indongo who's earned the right to get another title shot. Being that he went on the road, being that he's done what he's did in the sport to even become relevant, being that, yeah, he lost to Crawford, but that's Crawford. Crawford was head and shoulders above pretty much everybody in the division. So, yeah, why not, man? Why not? That I would much rather see that than what's been reported out there. They've been saying that they're talking about Lipinets versus Broner. I mean, none of those guys, like Broner, don't deserve no title shot. Like I thought he lost to Granados, and then Mikey Garcia schooled him, so he really should be 0-2 on the year. And he, no disrespect to Broner, he was always a paper champion. Anybody who knew a damn thing about boxing knew that Broner was a paper champion. A guy who, yes, had talent, but was a weight bully, and when he started fighting guys his own size, he either A, started losing, or B, didn't look as good. So what I'm saying is I don't want to see Lipinets versus Broner. Both those guys are paper champions. I would like to see Lipinets against a guy who actually has deserved to be where he's at in boxing. And Broner, in my opinion, in a division like 140 that's starting to pick up. You got guys like Josh Taylor, you got guys like Amir Imam, Granados come back down. You got Cletus Selden, you got even though he lost, it got a prospect like O'Hara Davies over there in the UK. There is some Regis Prograis, another guy. Victor Polson's coming back. There is talent. The division is heating up again, and he should have to beat those guys that I mentioned. He shouldn't just get a title shot off rip just because he sells tickets. But that's boxing. That's the business of boxing. So let me know what you guys think. Indongo versus Lipinets. Personally, I think Lipinets should have success against Indongo because Indongo swings really wide, and his boxing fundamentals are very, not all the way there. And he has better foot speed than Indongo. So I would lean towards the Lipinets getting a decision. But Indongo is long, rangy, and I don't know how Lipinets would deal with that sort of range. So it's a good fight on paper, and it's one that I'd rather see than him fighting a Broner or someone like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Julius Indongo, Sergey Lipinets. Is it a fight that you want to see? Who do you think wins if they do fight? And or would you rather see a Broner versus Lipinets fight? Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Follow True School Sports on Instagram at True School Sports. And like I always say, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dingus. So until next time, take care, guys.